So in this lesson, I'll walk you through the various chart layouts that we will be using throughout this masterclass, and something that you will actually be using every single day when you're analyzing charts and when you're trading. So there's a few different chart layouts that I typically use. This 3 time frame chart layout where I have one chart on the top left, top right, and one big chart on the bottom. That's the layout I typically use on a regular basis. But let's jump right into the charts, and I'll show you exactly how to set it all up in the other chart layouts I will actually also be using on a daily basis. So with that said, later in this masterclass, we're going to be talking and learning something about multi-time frame analysis. I briefly talked about it in the previous lesson. Multi-time frame analysis is the idea that you'll be looking at the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 5-minute chart all at the same time. But you will also be looking at an example, the monthly, the weekly, and a daily chart all at the same time. So multi-time frame analysis is going from the monthly to the weekly to the daily to the 4-hour to the 1-hour and to the 5-minute. Is looking at all those time frames. Okay, and in order to do that properly, we have to set up the different chart layouts. So we're going to be talking about multi-time frame analysis in detail later in this masterclass, but for now, this is where you go to set up your different chart layouts. So again, because I like to have my intraday charts and my higher time frames on 2 separate chart layouts, right? That is why I utilize this three time frame chart layout. And that is this one here that's marked blue that you see on the screen. And there's many other 3 time frame or 3 chart layouts that you can utilize. The one that I'll be using myself is this one right here. And it looks like this. And what we have here is, again, top left, I like to have my 4-hour chart. On the bottom, I like to have my 1-hour time frame. And on the top right, I like to have my 5-minute time frame. Now you'll learn why later in this masterclass, but this is again just how I have it. Now on the higher time frames, so I have a totally different layout for the higher time frames, and that is the monthly on the top left, the weekly on the top right, and a daily on the bottom. Right, and that is again how I look at the higher time frames and the lower time frames. Now the benefit of having multiple setups, multi-screen computer setup, that's what I'm talking about, is that you can put your monthly, weekly, daily on this screen as an example, and you can put your intraday charts on this screen. So your 4-hour, 1-hour, 5-minute, right? And this way, when you're analyzing charts, your head is just literally going from one screen to another, and that's where a multi-screen setup comes in a little bit more handy, because from a laptop you just have one screen, right? So if you're just utilizing a one screen, you can't do that. You will have to look at the higher time frames and then change your desktop and look, or change your tab and look at the lower time frames. So you can't look at both at the same time, but that's not a big deal. It just saves you a little bit more time. It's a little bit quicker when you have these 2 screens that you're looking at, right? But when you have just one, it's just a couple seconds longer that it takes you to analyze your charts. But that is really the difference. So that is why I have my charts laid out this way, where I have the higher time frames on one chart and I have the lower time frames on another layout, right? So higher time frames on one layout, lower time frames on another layout. Now let's actually dig into it a little bit more. And the other chart layout that you can utilize is, if you prefer not to have 2 separate chart layouts, you can do something where you utilize the 6. Right, and here you can do something where you put your monthly on the top, your weekly on the top right, your daily middle left, your 4-hour middle right, your 1-hour on the bottom left, and your 5-minute on your bottom right. Right, so if you want to just use one screen, you can set up all your 6 charts. These are the 6 time frames, right, that we're going to be using on a regular basis every single day when we're analyzing charts, right? We need to have these 6 charts visible at all times. Now you can have it in this 6 chart layout where it's all on one screen, or you can split it up and have 3 charts on one screen on one layout, which is the higher time frames, and the lower time frames, the 3 charts for the lower time frames on another layout. So those are really the 2 options. I personally, to me, there's a lot going on here when I look at the 6 charts all together all at once. But that is because I'm just not used to it. I don't typically trade like this. I don't typically analyze charts with this 6 chart layout on a regular basis. So I'm just not used to it, you know. But if this is something that you prefer, I mean, you'll get used to it pretty quickly. Myself, I've always just traded with this chart layout itself, where I have the monthly, the weekly, the daily as the higher time frames, and the 4 hour, 1 hour, 5 minute as the lower time frames. So those are the 2 major chart layouts that you'll be utilizing on a regular basis, the higher time frames and the lower time frames, right? And if you want to merge them together, it will be the 6 chart layout. But there's one more, okay? And that is the watch list. And it's a chart layout where I take pretty much the maximum. So you can take 6 charts or you can take 8 charts. Let's do 8. Yeah, let's change it up. So let's pick these 8 charts right here. And the one thing for the watch list is, as an example, if you're looking at 8 trades that day or that week that you want to execute and you're just waiting for the setups to develop or waiting for them to pull back to your ideal entry prices, right? This is where you can all of a sudden remove the symbol, right? Because we don't want to sync the symbol for the watch list, right? That means that when I change a pair, all these pairs change, right? All the charts change. I don't want that if it's my watch list. The reason being is I want to be able to put Aussie dollar as an example on this time frame. I might want to put Aussie Swiss on this time frame. I might want to put dollar CAD on this one. I might put euro dollar on this one, and so on, right? So I'm just putting the different pairs that I'm watching, right? I've already made my analysis, right? Utilizing the higher time frames and the lower time frames, right? Those 2 chart layouts, that is where I do my main analysis. But once I do my analysis, I will have a list of pairs, list of tickers, list of companies that I'll be looking to place trades on and execute positions, right? So it makes sense to have a layout, it's chart layout, where you're able to just on one screen, right, whether it's a laptop or this multi-screen setup, where on one screen you can just look and right away know everything that's going on in regards to the positions that you're currently live in or the positions that you're looking to execute. So that's kind of it, you know, that's really it. Here we have this 8 chart layout. Let's go back to the 3 chart layout. And the one thing with the 3 chart layout is, again, that we want the symbols to be synced, because again, this one is mainly focusing on the time frames, right? So monthly, weekly, daily, or 4 hour, 1 hour, 5 minute if it's the intraday charts. So I want the times to be synced, and I want the symbols to be synced, not the time, right? That way when I change, everything changes. And the only other difference between the watch list layout, which is this 8 chart or a 6 chart if you prefer that one as an example, is that you will turn off this syncing of the symbol, right? So that you can actually, on every single chart, you can have a different pair, a different stock, a different cryptocurrency that you're watching and looking at on a regular basis. So that is it for this lesson, guys. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. It's just the chart layouts that you will be utilizing on a regular basis, from the analysis to the actual watch list creation. There's 3 variations of it, 4 if you prefer to put your higher time frames and your lower time frames all on one screen utilizing a 6 chart layout. Here's another option. You can put all your higher time frames on the top and your lower time frames on the bottom. That's just another way of doing things. So that's it for this lesson on chart layouts, and I'll see you guys in the next one.